What's up, internet world? How's it going, man? Happy Tuesday, man. Can you guys believe, Thanksgiving is next week? What the heck happened, man? Drumathon 2025 has totally screwed me up since it happened in November this year. Which, by the way, if you weren't there, my God, you missed out. We're going to show you guys a recap here a little bit later. It's kind of like a preview because it's not finalized yet, but I just can't help myself. I want to show it to you guys so bad. I want to give a big shout out to Legacy Hall for hosting the event this year. What a great turnout. Also, want to give a big shout out to Roland for supporting the entire event and being so cool. They've been a supporting sponsor for many years now, and we're just super grateful. All right. If you are watching from the magical TikToks, man, any gifts that you give during the show will go towards the cause. And if you don't know, we raise funds to fight breast cancer in way of mammograms, research and trials, and financial assistance for breast cancer treatment. So be sure to give us those gifts, and they will go towards the cause. I got to give a huge shout out to the TikTok community, actually. There were 4 or 5 TikTok drummers that came out to Drumathon this year, and Brian Bass was the biggest fundraiser of the entire thing. He came out of nowhere, guys. He raised over $3,000, and he was our top fundraiser this year for Drumathon, which, by the way, we raised over $73,000, which is so cool. Woo, woo. Dude, our total, our goal has been $75,000 for the past 3 or 4 years, and 73,000. That is the closest we've ever gotten. That means next year, guys, we're going to make this happen. So thankful for you guys. But big shout out to Brian. We also had, I think his name is D-Bag. I got to go look it up, but he was amazing. Lori Peters, of course, who's on our board of directors, former member of Skillet, was there. We had a lot of TikTok drummer artists in the house, so it was super cool. So we love you guys, man. Thank you so much for being here. And I got to say, Izzy's helping me get set up so that I can start playing drums regularly on this show too. So I'll be able to start playing drums here and there. I think we're gonna do original music or something, right? Probably, because we can't just go off and play cover tunes on a lot of these formats. So we gotta be careful. We'll be cool. We'll make it happen, and we'll join that community over there with the TikTok drummers. All right. Man, all right, so tell me where you guys are watching from right now and what the temperature is. I gotta tell you, here in Dallas, Texas, it's in the 80s. And I got a new Bronco, okay? I got a Bronco Outer Banks, and the tops come off, and I've been driving around with the tops off for the last 3 or 4 days. So I've been very excited about that. It's 80-something during the day. I'm going to check the weather right now, and you guys message in the comments there what the weather is where you're at, and tell me where you are. Fairview. Let's see. Dallas. 77 degrees. Right here, guys. Crazy. Dallas, Texas, 77 degrees. Wow. Very nice out here. All right. So if you were at Drumathon, make a comment below too, because I want to hear all about that. And we've been posting a lot of pictures too and talking about just how crazy it was. So this year we had Zorro from Lenny Kravitz. We had Greg Potter and Kathy Rich from the Buddy Rich Band. We had Jake Summers from Luke Combs, Matt Starr from Ace Frehley, Rich Redmond from Jason Aldean, Lori Peters from Skillet. We had Johnny Kelly from Typo Negative, Quiet Riot, and Danzig, and Keo Stroud from Big and Rich. Also, big shout out to David Walters, a local clinician. So many cool people, so many cool things happen. I can't wait for you guys to see the recap from it. So if you were there, put a shout out in the comments below, and I'm going to see who's watching right now. Allison's in the house. What's up, Allison? Janine is in the house. What is up? If you didn't notice it, tonight our lineup is really great. Coming up about 7:30, we're going to have Tamara King. She is a breast cancer survivor. She's also a singer and a guitarist, and she's a member of our newly created Band of Survivors. So we made a breast cancer survivor band this year, and we actually, the first time we played together was at our Beats and Eats event back in June or July, and we decided that we wanted to do this at Drumathon, and so we played a tune at Drumathon, and it's all breast cancer survivors. We had a couple of guys from Rock Candy, the official breast cancer can stick it band, sit in, but it was super cool. So I'm very excited to talk to Tamara. You know, a lot of people that I'm friends with who are breast cancer survivors, I don't know their whole story. What happened? How did you get diagnosed? And all the details. And so I'm really looking forward to learning more about Tamara here tonight. Oh yeah, Janine says I was so there. She was. She played her djembe at Drumathon too. She's a percussionist, and we love her so much. Very very cool to have her out. So all right, Thanksgiving's next week. Christmas is coming up. I want to say that we do have a new program that I want to tell you guys about. It's actually an old program that we're kind of breathing some new life into. It's called Beat and Repeat. This is where you can make a donation and schedule it to happen once a month. And it doesn't have to be any huge amount. It could even just be $5. And so I'm going to play you guys a quick video that's going to tell you a little bit more about it. And then we'll talk more about things on the flip side of that. All right? Hang tight, man.
What if you could change a life for the cost of your daily coffee? By giving up just one coffee a month, you could provide hope and support to breast cancer survivors. Your $5 monthly donation helps fund treatment, research, trials, and mammograms. Sign up now at breastcancercanstickit.org.
Man, that goes by fast, right? So Beat and Repeat, man. Be sure to check that out. You can go to breastcancercanstickit.org/donate and sign up for a recurring donation and really help us out, man. It goes towards the cause and it helps keep the wheels turning here at Breast Cancer Can Stick It. You can't imagine all the things that go into a nonprofit. If you're not familiar, we're like 99% volunteer. Izzy is our only paid employee. And she's only allowed 15 hours a week or something like that. So we really make sure to keep costs very low so that the majority of funds can go towards fighting breast cancer. So just keep that in mind when you do schedule your donation. It's going towards the cause and it's going to be a huge help. All right. All right. I'm checking to see what all we have going on in here. Oh, and then I talked about Tamara, right? Coming on at 7:30 here, just a little bit. And then later on tonight, we're going to have Troy Lucchetta. I'm going to tell you guys a story about Troy, too. I think we'll talk about it a little bit when he joins. But he was one of the first people to ever be involved in a breast cancer can stick it event as far as celebrity drummers go. He joined in 2013, knew very little about me or our foundation, and just jumped right in. And came to Corpus Christi for our big event there. And he's been supporting us ever since. Just such a dear person. If you know Troy, then you know he's an incredibly talented drummer. He was with Tesla for 36 years. In fact, many of my bands emulated Tesla. We thought they were just super cool and still do. So be sure to tune in. He'll be coming on around 8:15 tonight. So we got Tamara coming on about 7:30 and then Troy about 8:15. All right. Sweet. So, yep, Janine was there. Yes, ma'am. She was. We also had Aquarius there. So we have a women in music committee that gets together every so often. And it consists of Tamara King, who's going to be here tonight, Janine Cumming, who's online right now, who's also a breast cancer survivor, and Aquarius Fletcher, who is also a breast cancer survivor and a drummer. And we get together and put on different events. Our primary event each year is called Beats and Eats. And it's a way to get the music community involved in Breast Cancer Can Stick It and a networking opportunity. We do it in the summer each year. So very cool thing. But it's nice that we finally put this band together, band of survivors. Totally digging it, dude. Digging it hard. Okay, I'm thinking, let's see. What do we want to... Ooh, this looks like fun. What is this one? I don't know what that one is. Do you know what that one is? You do? Did you make it? Did I make it? I did? Is it good? Oh, okay. I can't show you that one, but it's cool. You know, it's like Izzy's been here a few times when I do the broadcast, but for some reason I'm feeling drawn to talk to her this evening. But Izzy's our volunteer coordinator and she's the producer of this show too. She's going to fire me after tonight. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys who wants to see the recap because I want to play it. I'm probably going to play it more than once tonight. But I've got the recap from 2025 here. Like I said, this is not the final copy. But I kind of want to preview it to you. I'm getting some hearts in the house. So I'm getting a lot of hearts in the house that they want to see this right now. So I'm going to press play on this bad boy. All right. I want to hear y'all's thoughts about it. Oh, I got to make one comment. So if you were at Drumathon, then you know the LED screen looked great the whole time, like it looked good. But if you took pictures of it or video, like I did video, it came out wonky. So you'll see that in some spots in this recap video, but the screen was actually fine if you were there in person. So we're actually talking to Legacy Hall about that to see if there's anything we can do to prevent that next year. But keep that in mind when you see that, and let's check out this recap. How cool was that, man? It was so much fun. I can't even tell you guys. For those of you who don't know, that was our 11th annual Drumathon. It features celebrity drummers from across the country. Drummers fundraise in advance of the event, and then we raise funds all day, and again, raised over $73,000 in the fight against breast cancer. I want to give a big shout out to AK Roses for your gift there on TikTok. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Keep them coming, guys. Keep them coming. And Trisha, can I talk about you being in my living room when we were kids and playing the drums? So Trisha's a friend of mine. We've been friends since we were like a year old. And it was actually, I think if you're talking about my old house in Plano, my mom and dad let us like move everything out of the dining room of all places and put my drum set in there and my brother's guitar amp and everything. And we like jammed out in the dining room. I'm not even kidding. We played, like, what's funny is that we played a lot of the stuff that I'm playing again now with Metal Shop, like a lot of like Def Leppard and stuff like that, Judas Priest. And so it was a lot of fun. Trisha was there. Trisha and I also got into a lot of trouble together, but we're not going to talk about that. We're very good kids now. Trust me, everything's good. And I want to give a shout out also to Biggest Big Back on YouTube. What's up, man? Thank you for watching. 6 months old, we were actually Bailey's. Dude, that's so crazy, man. Yeah, we've been through a lot together, Trisha and I. So it's good to see you here online. It's amazing. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure and drop some comments in too. Colin, what's up, man? You're late, dude, but it's okay. You're here. That's all that matters, man. Thank you for coming out to Drumathon. It's so good to see you. And, man, I've been seeing your posts and just how sweet you are and all the encouraging words you're saying about breast cancer can stick it in Drumathon. I just want to thank you so much, Colin, for that, man. You just totally rock. You're such a huge supporter of the music scene. So thank you for everything you do, man. Totally, totally cool. All right, we're getting close to time here for Tamara to come on the line. I think before we have her on, I'm going to spin a little fact or fiction from Dr. Joyce O'Shaughnessy. Let's see. I'm I'm drinking coffee right now, so I'm going to do one that has to do with a myth that has to do with coffee and breast cancer. So check this out, and here in just a few minutes, we're going to have Tamara King.
What about coffee and breast cancer? Women like myself or men who drink quite a bit of coffee, are we at increased risk for breast cancer? Thankfully, not. And as you can imagine, there's been a lot of work done looking at coffee's association with a number of different cancers: pancreas cancer, colon cancer, stomach cancer, breast cancer. I'm happy to report there is no association with coffee drinking and developing breast cancer or other cancers. How does breast cancer present? What should we be looking for? Does it always present as a lump, like a golf ball or a pea? Not necessarily. If we did feel something like a BB or a pea or a hard grape or a golf ball, of course we'd want to bring that to attention. But breast cancer can present as a swollen breast that's kind of slightly pinkish, might be a little cellulitis, for example. That could be a presenting sign of breast cancer. And then other breast cancers just kind of present as a thickening in the breast, kind of a rope-like area of some thickening that just doesn't go away. And so the bottom line is that if you feel your breasts have changed at all, just bring it to attention. Just go in for an examination, and let's err on the side of getting a mammogram and ultrasound.
Hi, I'm April Samuels, and I drum. It's true, mostly drum. Over the past 7 years, I had fibrocystic breasts, and so I've been going for ultrasounds every 6 months for 7 years to try to keep an eye on, watch out for breast cancer. And unfortunately, October 26th last year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. At that time, pretty much stopped my life. I stopped drumming completely, stopped playing. I was playing with lots of bands, probably 5 or 6 bands. Stopped that completely and just focused on my health. It was a very aggressive form of breast cancer called triple negative. Decided to be aggressive right back. Had a double mastectomy on November 15th. Went through all that, very, very painful. During the port installation on December 15th, accidentally punctured my lung. I was hospitalized for 5 days with that. And on December 28th, started chemotherapy, which causes lots of side effects. One being my eyes water a lot, so while a lot of this hasn't been fun, I'm not crying right now. But another thing is, got to lose my hair with that. So I kind of look like this now. It's really put my life into perspective. You get to stop and listen a lot more. I had been drumming so much and paying attention to that primarily, where life was really just going by really fast. And so when I put everything on stop, I really was able to listen and figure out a lot of things. And my life has really been put into perspective. I felt an enormous
urge to do something, you know. So the idea was to come up with a t-shirt design that would be fun and different. And since I'm a drummer, I came up with the idea of breast cancer can stick it, and sent it off to a friend of mine and had her come up with the design. Literally within, I believe, 10 days of being diagnosed, I decided that I wanted to be the biggest advocate that I could in the fight against breast cancer. And I came up with the slogan, breast cancer can stick it, combining my passion for drumming and my passion for fighting breast cancer, and came up with that slogan. And I had my friend drop a little logo and everything and started selling t-shirts and raising funds in the fight against breast cancer. And then this year we're doing a big thing called a drumathon, and it's going to be our annual walk, if you will. But it will be geared towards drummers, but anyone can participate in it. And we're hoping to raise between $50,000 and $75,000 from that one event. So, I mean, it's just growing bigger and bigger, and we're making a bigger dent in breast cancer each day, really.
Oh, welcome back, man. I got to give a big shout out to Jamie Ray, who's sending gifts to breast cancer can stick it through TikTok. Thank you so much, man. Again, if you join late, any gifts that you guys give are going to go towards the cause. We fight breast cancer over here by providing mammograms, research and trials, and financial assistance for breast cancer treatment. So all your donations really make a difference. So thank you guys so much. We are an official 501c3, so your donations are tax deductible. Boom. All right, guys, I'm super excited to have our first guest of the evening. She's my sister from another mister. It's Tamara King in the house. What's up, Tamara? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am amazing. Thanks so much for coming on tonight, man.
Absolutely.
You know, people may not know this, but you're part of the Women in Music Committee that we have at Breast Cancer Can Stick It. We formed it about a year and a half ago or something like that.
Well, we've had two of the beats and eats.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's been such a cool thing because it's all of us breast cancer survivors in the committee that work together, and then our honorary person Bethany hangs out a lot of the time with us in our group chat, and we hold these events where we can get to network and share information about breast cancer and what it's like going through it and resources and different things like that. So super glad to have you be a part of that group, Tamara. It's been really cool getting to know you and especially getting to jam with you at Drumathon, dude.
And no, that was great. That was really a special day.
It totally was. I can't wait for the video to come out. We're doing a recap video that we're working on. And we're going to be featured in that. The one that I played today is a preliminary one, so it's not quite finished, but we'll have that out here soon. But I want to jump into it. You're a breast cancer survivor like myself, and obviously you're doing good at this point, but there was a point where things were pretty scary, and so I want you to really tell us about how you learned that you had breast cancer and how this all began.
Okay. Well, at the end of 2022 is when, well, okay, I have had a history over time of, like little cysts that would kind of come up. And most of the time it was like if I ate too much chocolate or had too much coffee, but then they would go away. And it was always in the exact same spot. So I had noticed a spot and thought, oh, that's what it is again. And so went about my business, and as life happens, things going on, and I just kept noticing it, but it wasn't really changing. And so I just anticipated that that's what it was. It always had been in the past. Well, closer to the end of 22, I noticed that this spot was actually getting bigger. And I thought, I've got to do something about this, because this is not normal.
No,
So,
that's scary. Yikes.
yeah. Yeah. And of course, at the end of that year, my mom was declining. My sister had hip replacement. I'm about, 2.5 hours away from them and doing what I could, which was not a lot. But then my mom passed away in January of 23. So I had an appointment, went and got a mammogram, was scolded by the young lady, not really scolded, but she was
Right.
like,
Yeah.
why did you miss your last
Right.
mammogram,
Why
Miss
did you
Kate?
wait? Yeah.
Yeah, she was young. And I was like, well, you know, life just got in the way, unfortunately.
Yep.
And so obviously they did a sonogram, sent me for a biopsy. And, I knew that I was headed for probably bad news.
Tamara, was
And
there
obviously,
anybody else in your family that had breast cancer before?
well, an aunt on my dad's side, so a paternal aunt had breast cancer, and a maternal aunt had breast cancer, but they were both late in years. They were much older when it occurred. So,
Gotcha.
and they, survived the process, the treatments, or what. I think they caught it early enough that they both had mastectomies, and just kept headed on down the road. Two tough old gals didn't miss a beat. But and of course my father passed away from colorectal cancer.
Oh
So,
gosh.
I
How
did
long
I did
ago?
all the how
Yeah.
long?
Yeah.
Gosh, almost 17, 18 years now.
Wow. So you were about to say that you did all the genetic testing?
I did the genetic testing, wanted to make sure, because I have a daughter, and I wanted to make sure that if there was something there, that she got tested as well, so that we had all the information in hand.
Super
But
smart.
fortunately it was negative,
Right.
and there was no genetic issues there.
Gotcha.
But so made phone calls, got in with an oncologist there at February, March of 23. Got in with the breast cancer surgeon, and they were very good about explaining all the details of what was going on. I had estrogen receptive ductal carcinoma, invasive ductal carcinoma. It was a grade 3, but it was a stage 2, but it had metastasized because there were 2 masses at that time.
Oh wow.
And it had also spread into that sentinel lymph node.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
And fortunately, that's as far as it went. So, got lined up and started all the treatments, the crazy stuff, the red devil, or what is it? Adriamycin and
Yeah.
cyclophosphamide.
Oh, ouch. Wow.
I told you I made notes. Yeah, I made notes.
Nice. That's amazing. I'm pretty impressed with the adriamycin. Yeah, that's a hard one. The Red Devil, and then your other one. I hadn't heard of that one before.
Well, it's red devil is the combination of those two.
Okay, I know mine was adriamycin and cytoxin, but maybe
Okay.
it could
Well,
be that that's the same thing. It's just a different name for it because they have.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
There seems to be 2 or 3 different ways that they identify these medications.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, we did the 4 treatments there, and then what is it? Protocol is 12 treatments of Taxol after that.
Yep. We had the
And
same setup, man. That's a very similar setup.
it appears that is the protocol
That's
these days.
the standby.
No matter what type of cancer, breast cancer you're diagnosed with, that seems like, man, they just throw the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah, yeah.
And now the Taxol, I was not able to get through all 12 treatments. I got through 3, but I had some allergic reactions. Not side effects. Those are 2 different things. They were allergic reactions.
Like what
So,
happened?
well, so if you have shortness of breath, I was sitting after, I think it was about the first, it was the second treatment. I was sitting on the couch one evening, and all of a sudden I was like, I am itching all over. I mean, it was just a horrible sensation. And also I was like, and I'm starting to have some, problems breathing. Now, I've had respiratory issues throughout life, but this was like all of a sudden it just kind of set in. And so the next morning I call the oncologist and go, okay, after those 49 pages of things you gave me that said, if this happens, call immediately. So I started explaining, and the response was, how quickly can you get here?
Yikes. That's got to be
Yeah.
scary when you hear that.
How quickly can you get here? So I called Joe at work and said, you're going to have to come take me. I really don't think I can get myself there. I just didn't feel good at all.
Wow.
And so we got to the oncologist's office, and so you know how things, insurance. So the Taxol, the first drug, that I had this allergic reaction to. So there's another drug that is still Taxol based, but it's I guess for lack of verbiage here, maybe a higher grade. So Dr. Pham says, okay, so we're going to go ahead and submit to insurance to do this next, the other drug, and let's see what that does. And so got that done, went in for the third treatment, and still had very similar response to it. So she said, we went back in and she says, well, we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And
I bet you were kind of
yeah.
glad to hear that, because that's kind of scary.
Well-
It feels like you're tempting fate almost.
Well, my first question was, I said, well, what does that mean for me down the road if I don't complete these 12 treatments?
Right.
And yeah, I did do and still like my oncologist. She's matter of fact, and I like that. I want to know the detail. I want to know the information. Don't sugarcoat it for me. And she goes, well, Tamara, you do know that chemotherapy can kill you. I said, oh yay, right? And she goes,
you have to
look,
sign that paper too. I remember.
yeah, that's right. She goes, look, I want you to look at this and tell me where you are in this process. So there's 4 levels, and the medication, your responses to the medication, where are you? And I'm like number 3, right? And she goes, okay, so we're gonna send you straight to surgery. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. So get lined up with the surgeon and go in for surgery. And I had already decided early on, the very first appointment I had, I said, I want a double mastectomy. I just want it all gone. I don't want to have to worry about this again, thinking that just because you take breast tissue, that doesn't mean that cancer is not still residing in your system somewhere along the way, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And
It could. Some little guys can sneak out and get away, and you just don't know. Yeah.
The percentage of reoccurrence, you kind of like live with that. And so went into surgery, and just so happened that about 3 a.m., so I had surgery that morning at 11 a.m. And my daughter was able to stay with me, so Joe could come home and take care of our little dog. And 3 a.m., I do remember this, it's kind of vaguely, because I was still pretty medicated. And the nurse comes in and she's talking to me, and she goes, oh, that's not good. And I said, what's not good? And she said, I'm going to call your surgeon. Hang on. And it was not even 10 minutes.
Like you're like feeling fine, everything's, but she saw some number somewhere or something on your stuff and was like, oh, okay, bad she
She saw, I guess, well, they bind you so tight you can barely breathe after surgery anyway. And but she saw that I had some significant swelling on this side above the bandage. And so it was less than 10 minutes, and my surgeon pokes her head in the door and she goes, well, we're going back to surgery. You have 2 bleeders.
What does that mean?
Well, like I guess blood was collecting
underneath your skin or something. And
yeah, underneath all, yeah. So they had to go in and clip off these 2 bleeders.
Oh my God.
So I was back in surgery at
Like,
3
did they
a.m.
cauterize it or something? Like to.
I guess, all I know is she went in and fixed it. And, that was really the toughest part
Right.
after all that was, what is it? Your range of motion.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you do PT?
I did, but not until after radiation.
Oh, so it was some time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you had chemo, double mastectomy, and then radiation on top of that. I wonder,
Yes.
and this is where we get into like everybody's the same, but everybody's different because like the number of treatments that you had are different from mine, but probably the same as somebody else's. And then like the order of stuff is different from mine. And like
Mhm.
I didn't do radiation at all. Like they told me that for me, it was just chemo, or actually it was surgery and
Just.
then chemo. Yeah,
Just.
but no radiation, so I never had to do radiation. But anyway, sorry I interrupt you, but I'm just
No,
like, dang,
no, it's
they are
fine.
throwing everything at you for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I had 6 weeks, Monday through Friday, of radiation.
Wow.
And yeah, but again, the range of motion, shoot, the way that, of course, the masses were on my left side. So of course, that's where the radiation was going to be localized. But, you're laying there on the table and you have to like be able to put your hands behind your head and turn it to a certain place and hold there,
Oh
don't
yeah.
breathe,
I never
that kind of thing.
for your radiation. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. How
Yeah.
long after your surgery did you go to start doing radiation? Because that does
Oh,
sound painful.
it was quick. It was quick.
Oh dang, man.
Probably,
Oh
was
gosh.
it 2, 3, 4 weeks maybe? I mean, to me, it was quick,
Yeah, yeah.
but I didn't have the range of
No.
motion on my right side because of that surgery going in twice.
Yeah, yeah.
This was crazy. And so fortunately, I got to put my hand in my pocket,
Uh huh.
but because I had range of motion here, which was good. But
Yeah.
but I did have a very dear friend that would come over, and she really worked with me talking about physical therapy. She came to my house. She's a trainer, and she worked with me on range of motion and just keeping things moving, which was a blessing. I'm going to shout out to Linda De Leon because she hit the door when she found out what was going on, and she kept me moving. She would call and go, let's go work out, let's do this, let's do some chair yoga. And she did help me keep going, along with uh, just trying to keep my immune system up. That's the other thing people don't really talk about much or realize, is you got to keep that immune system up in order
Yeah.
to make it through this
Well,
process.
and for those watching, if they're not familiar, so chemo affects your white blood cells, which your white blood cells are what keep you healthy and fight off infection and whatnot. So your white blood cells
Yeah.
can get really low during chemo, and if you get sick, you could be a lot worse off than like you could just get like strep and end up in the hospital, stuff like that.
And
So you have to stay.
pneumonia.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah, all
gosh.
of that
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
pretty serious, and a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
women go through that.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know since you did do Red Devil, did you have to do Neulasta?
I did have to do the Neulasta shot. I didn't do
Okay.
you probably had the cool one that had a timer on it and you got to wear
I
it and go home
Yeah.
and you're just like
Well, I
hanging
don't.
out and one day it just goes smack and hits you. Whereas
Oh,
I had to like get in my car and drive like I think the day after or 2 days after chemo.
the day after. Yeah, the next
I
morning.
had to drive out there and they give you a shot in the stomach. Did you get the shot in your stomach or did you get the cool one?
Oh, I got the cool one.
I'm just saying you didn't have to drive, right? You just
Right, but they have a 15-minute video for you to watch before they attach this thing to you that tells you all the horrible things that can happen,
Oh,
right?
no, really? Like what
Yes.
kinds of things does it say?
Oh, well, it
Oh my
says things
God. Yeah, let's freak everybody
you're
out. Tell the worst
yeah,
stuff. Come on, do it.
well, hey, this is reality.
Yeah, right, right.
This is what you go through, right?
Tamara
It
King,
said
raw.
yeah, it said things like your caregiver needed to be with you when this thing goes off because it can blow up your spleen.
Oh, for the love of Mike. Are you
Yeah,
serious?
yeah. I mean, it could send you into horrible, whatever, medical emergency.
Right.
And
Somebody needs to be there to
so,
pick you up off the floor and drag you to the ambulance or something.
dial 911. So,
God.
the young lady that attached this thing, she goes, now be ready, because she said, this is kind of going to be like a rubber band, like pops you. And I'm like, oh, great. Okay. So, she puts it on, and sure enough, man, that thing, it pops, and it's like a slap.
You're
And
saying when it gives you the shot or when they put it on you?
when they put it on you,
Oh, ouch.
yeah, when they attach it to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, I think it was, I don't remember how many hours later, like 14 hours later, some odd number,
Right.
when you could hear it would start ticking down.
Wow.
You could hear it.
That's
And then all of a
creepy.
sudden, you could smell the medication when it
Oh,
injected.
really?
Yeah. And I will be honest with you, that made me feel worse than the
Yeah.
chemotherapy.
Well, the Neulasta shot.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, I talk about that in my book a lot too, because yeah, chemo wasn't really that bad. I just was tired a lot. But the Neulasta shot, it felt like, I tell everybody that it felt like somebody attacked me with a baseball bat. Like I was just
Yeah.
hurting all over. What did it do for you?
Yeah. Well, of course, the bone pain and the muscle aches and the fatigue, all of that is just a daily thing for, 10 months. And then for about a year after that, actually. But it just was just, every time you turned around, it was something else. If you had to take anti-nausea meds at night so that you weren't sick all day the next day, because I worked through all of this
Yeah,
as much
yeah.
as I possibly could.
Right.
Now, I had a fantastic employer. They stood by me. They helped me through this. They checked on me.
So awesome.
And so I was very thankful and grateful for that. I had good insurance, thank God.
Right.
And it was just, had I had bad insurance and bad employer, it would have been a total different year for me. But and I know there are a lot of women out there who don't have good insurance, and their employers aren't as kind and considerate as mine was. So I'm just grateful for those things.
Well, and I just noticed Joe just noted in here that you had a driver, that she was your driver, I think. She took good care of you.
Shoot, yeah, she was my driver. Now, I drove myself back and forth to radiation because I felt good enough to do that.
Yeah.
But when
chemo.
it came to, chemo, I had friends, texting going, I want to take you to your next treatment. And I'm like, I can't believe it. People want to come and sit through all this, because the 4 treatments with the Red Devil, those took half a day.
Right. And
So,
that alone is just exhausting. You're just sitting there and they're pumping meds into you, and yeah.
yeah. Now, one thing different I did that I know a lot of women don't, and maybe it's because they don't think of it, or they don't have that. I don't know. I'm not going to call it an option, because I told my oncologist that she explained that medication had to have a steroid delivery system. I don't know what totally that means. All I know is I was going to have an IV steroid along with 3 anti-nausea meds before the chemo treatment. And I told her, I said, I do not do good on IV steroids. I'd had a pretty bad experience in 2020 during COVID with an IV steroid. And I said, what can we do about that? She said, well, it has to have a steroid delivery system. So all I can do is cut it in half. And so we did that. And I think that it probably allowed the symptoms, the side effects, to come on quicker, because I know a lot of women will say, man, I felt great after chemo for 4 days. I was cleaning house, had all this energy, but it's because of the steroid. Well, I did not experience all of that fun energy. I didn't feel horrible for the first couple of days after, but as the week went on, it definitely became more and more of a struggle. because there's a 2 week, 2 weeks in between each treatment, which they call that mega dosing. If you research Red Devil, typically it's an every 3 week treatment for a lot of people.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but they do a mega dose and do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
they did that to me. They said because it was triple negative and because I was younger, because it's
yeah.
harder for older people to tolerate that much of it. But I had mine every 2 weeks, and they did do steroids for me also, and I think they did Benadryl too or something.
Well, they do. Yeah, probably. And I
Yeah.
know that they deliver 3 different anti-nausea meds.
Yeah,
And of course, that's kind of the new thing.
That's
People
what I
are
was
like,
gonna
oh, we
say.
can control this better.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was doing it, they didn't have anti-nausea medication through the IV. I had to take oral medication, so I had like a big pile of oral medication that I had to take. And then the other thing that a lot of people don't realize about chemotherapy is it's cumulative. So like when you get it the first, maybe a couple days later you're kind of tired, and then the next time you get it you're like a little more tired, and then the next time you get it you're like more tired, and then like the symptoms also build up too. So you lose hair, lose more hair, lose more hair, lose more hair. And then like I remember when I finished Taxol, I was like still losing hair for a couple weeks after that because it's cumulative and it just kind of builds up on you. It's thing people don't think about that. You think, oh, you're done with chemo, you're good. No, not so much.
Well, and food taste changes.
Yeah.
Water was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
I told Joanna, I said, if this what I'm tasting even through a filter is what water really tastes like.
I'm done with water permanently.
I'm done with water. Yeah. Well, fortunately, I have a good friend who told me, he said, go to the store and get some alkaline water.
Oh, okay.
And
that tastes better to you?
I drank Core, the brand Core.
Yep.
And I was able to do that. Of course, Core has electrolytes in it as well, which was very beneficial. And I drank that every day, as much as, I floating some days because I drank so much, because especially right before a treatment, you want to be hydrated.
Yeah, they would tell you to be sure to drink a lot of water when you're on chemotherapy. It just really helps a lot of things. A lot of people don't realize all the things that we're talking about. It all relates back to the fact that chemo kills fast dividing cells. So fast dividing cells are your white blood cells, anything in your digestive system, your mouth, your intestines, your stomach. All that stuff, it affects your entire digestive system because it has fast dividing cells. Your hair, your fingernails, your skin, all those things are affected by chemotherapy, and you get different types of symptoms depending on who you are and how it affects you personally. Like, did you have any weird skin things happen when you were on chemo?
I did. I absolutely. I had some. They were kind of I can't call them a blister, but they came up. I could feel them under my skin, right? And then they would kind of erupt, and it wasn't a massive amount, but definitely had some stuff happen on my arms. I think the loss of my eyelashes and the hair in my nose were the weirdest thing.
That was so weird, right? I always tell people that, like, it's like, I wish there was a way you could bottle some aspects of that. Like, the fact that I didn't have to shave, or like, us ladies, sometimes, especially when we get older, you got to go crazy with the nail lotion for the upper lip. And so that was cool to not have to worry about that. And yeah, the part about the nose hairs, it's like, well, where does stuff go now? Like, it doesn't.
Yeah, that was the most bizarre part.
Yeah, it was crazy. And that didn't happen for me except during Taxol. Did you lose that during Taxol or during Adriamycin Cytoxin?
No, it was the first 4 treatments.
Wow.
Because again, I only had 3 of the Taxol.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Make it through 12. Wow. But yeah, well, I went ahead and cut my hair really short because I thought, I don't know, that's going to be interesting. And it was still, as short as I cut it, there was still a lot of hair. When it started falling out, I took a picture of it in the floor of the shower and sent it to Jo and said, "Oh my God, look!" And she was like, "Ooh," because it was still a lot of hair.
Right, yeah, it's just like everywhere.
And I had a friend say, "Hey, get some duct tape and do it like this, and it'll take the rest of it out." She's a cancer survivor, and she said, "Do that, all over your head." Well, I did, and still didn't have a lot of success at getting all the little stuff. Now, I will say, my daughter had done amazing research before we started all this process, and she had me on this amazing supplement regimen to help keep my immune system up and keep, being strong through all this. And it took a long time for me to be just really onion bald because, and I think it had a lot to do. Now, I can't prove it, can't disapprove it, but I think it had a lot to do with the fact that I was really working hard at keeping my immune system up.
Yeah, it's so smart. I'm glad that you had people kind of there helping make sure you did that, and also drinking a lot of water. I feel like that can do
Lots of
nothing
water.
but good. Yeah, something you
I
mentioned
ate tons
earlier.
of watermelon.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, like I remember that they were telling me to eat fruits and vegetables that are big in water, like cucumbers and watermelon and stuff like
Yes,
that. Yeah.
cucumbers.
I don't want to forget
Yeah.
to ask you this. Whenever we were talking at the beginning, you mentioned that you had two masses and they were both in your left breast and had spread to your sentinel node and probably,
Yes.
I would assume, to a few other lymph nodes at that point. Did they stage you at they said just the sentinel node?
Just the sentinel node.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what did they end up staging you as?
Well, it was a stage 2.
Right.
Let me see if I can find exactly what I think I wrote it down. It was a grade 3, right? Because of the fact that it had already spread, but it was a stage, T2N1. So it had spread. There were two masses and they were kind of stacked on top of each other. And so the funny thing, and it's not funny, the interesting thing, after you go through all this, and this is true today with the women I know that have gone through it and are going through it. They want you, to take, especially if it's estrogen positive, they want you to be on a hormone blocker for 5 years. And the first 2 of those 5, they suggest that you take a drug called Verzenio, and it's basically, isn't that right, Verzenio? It's basically a chemo pill, and it has I think it has worse side effects than chemo, and they want you to do that for 2 years on top of the hormone blocker for 5 years. And there's so many side effects, and a lot of women say they get used to it. I didn't get used to it. So I visited with my oncologist and said about that chemo pill. I said, I still work for a living. I can't do this. It is debilitating. And she said, well, I looked through your information again, and the interesting thing, Tamara, if I were you, I wouldn't take it either. Because when you went to surgery, there was nothing left. And I said, what does that mean? She said, usually there's a shadow, even at least a shadow of the masses. She said, there was nothing. It was all gone. She said, so I wouldn't take it either.
Huh.
Now, she did push the hormone blocker.
Uh-huh.
And I did my dangest to do that. Actually, there's only 3, being postmenopausal, there are 3 drugs that are hormone blockers. And I tried the first 2 and just didn't have a lot of good things with them. And had another conversation with her, and she said, I'm only here to give you options. And so we're still kind of going back and forth about that. Chemo did push me into osteoporosis. And so I go tomorrow for my second bone density scan. I requested, I just want to see if I'm still as bad as it was after chemo, and to make the decision if I will continue to do every 6 months an injection of Zometa.
And what is those?
Zometa
Yeah, what is that?
It's to strengthen your bones.
Okay.
Because of the osteoporosis. Everything now going forward, for the rest of my life,
Right.
and yours,
Yep.
is prevention.
Yeah.
Prevention. Just like I had an endoscopy this year, and now that I have to have one every year because I've been diagnosed with Barrett's esophagus, which means There's some cells that where my esophagus goes into my stomach because of acid reflux. The cells. So I'll have another endoscopy this next February and have one for, I guess, every year for the rest of my life.
Wow. So how often are you seeing your oncologist now?
Every 3 to 6 months, depending on if I do a Zometa infusion.
Gotcha. Wow. And so you don't have any osteoporosis in your family? Like nobody?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have the osteopenia, which is the precursor to that. And the thing about all that stuff is you can't, it doesn't go backwards. You know, it's once you have it, you have it. You can't undo it. And it's just is what it is. So that kind of, it sucks that's one of the risks you take when you do chemo is it can affect your bone density. And I don't have any osteoporosis in my family. And my mom had just amazing bones and dad too. And no issues there. And so I'm blaming mine on chemo as well. I'm pretty sure that's where it came from, you know. Yeah. But wow, so okay, stage 2, the 2 masses in your chest, they did your surgery, the margins were clear, did the chemo, did the radiation, weren't able to finish the Taxol, and now when you go and visit her every 3 to 6 months, what do they do at that time? Are they still doing like chest scans or chest x-rays or anything like that?
They do blood work.
Oh, okay.
And if she sees anything unusual, and I wish I had written it down, but there's one particular test that gives a number.
Right.
And depending
your tumor markers, tumor markers.
Yes. And as long as it's below 30.
I don't know because the type of cancer that I had, they didn't use tumor markers for mine, so I never got that test.
Okay.
But yeah, whatever you tell me it is what it is today.
Well, that's what. Yeah, that's what. Hysterical. I think that's what it is. If it's below 30, of course, mine's well below 30. Good. But it's a test that kind of gives them an idea if there's cancer cells growing in your body.
Gotcha. Did you ever do a PET scan?
Yeah, I never did. I had a MRI, but isn't that right? MRI scan. That's when they noticed the lymph node.
Got you. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I had ultrasounds, mammograms. I never had a CT or a MRI or a PET scan for my situation. And earlier when you said when you were diagnosed, did they biopsied it and how did they biopsy it? Do you recall? Was it a surgery or was it a core needle biopsy?
Needle biopsy, yeah. Went into what is it, Solus here locally is the place that does your mammograms and all of that, and they definitely they go in with a needle and take a little bit of the mass and send it off, but they also leave a marker in it.
Right. I didn't know that they did that. So well, anyway, go ahead, finish.
Yeah,
Sorry.
They leave a marker.
Yeah.
Well, I also had the biopsy on the lymph node. Now that was entertaining, because it took them 3 shots, not shots, but 3 tries to get this little radio antenna thing in the lymph node, so that when you go into surgery, the surgeon has some sort of wand and they're able to locate that lymph node before they cut.
It's like some Harry Potter stuff happening.
Yeah, that's right. It beeps. It'll beep.
Or like some radiation, or a metal detector.
Yeah, like an antenna.
Yeah.
They're located. So and
that's
it took
crazy.
them 3 tries.
Wow.
3 tries to get that. Yeah, I was like, holy cow. And they kept going, we're so sorry. I think the little antenna thing wasn't working, so they had to use 3 of them. And I'm sure, I don't know. That day was pretty entertaining, but
you're part of like a science project that day, kind of thing going on.
I felt like a science project the whole time. I'm sure you did too.
Yeah, I know you do, don't you? And it's funny because now, like being so far out, I'm 15 years out. I don't know how I went through all that stuff because I'm such a wimp about stuff now. I'm like, just an IV. I'm like, oh, that hurts. What's happening? And back then it was like, whatever. I was a pincushion. It didn't even faze me. But, you know, you have a different perspective when you're faced with what, you know, essentially is a life or death situation. If you don't go and do the things, then it's going to kill you. You gotta, you know, pull up your big girl britches and jump in and do the thing, you know? But,
I mean, you know, people always like to use the word journey, you know, my cancer journey. Well, I say this a lot, and, you know, take it or leave it. It's really not my cancer. It is cancer. I am not going to call it mine, because it's hard to get rid of something that you claim.
That's true.
So
that's true.
I never referred to it as mine.
Yeah.
It's not mine. It was cancer, but it wasn't mine.
Right.
And it never will be.
Right. It's been let go, and you guys are no longer friends if you were before.
Exactly. Bad friend.
Yes, bad friend. Well, man, I'm so glad. It's so cool to hear the details of your story, because it's like I said before you joined, you know, we hang out a lot, we jam, we do things, we have all these meetings, but we never really get a chance to sit and chat and hear your whole story. And I'm really grateful that you shared it. And I know that your story is going to help a lot of people too, especially Tamara. You just have such a positive energy and you know, just like optimism, and like you're just sort of like, okay, let's go, what's next, kind of thing, and you don't let it drag you down. So what would you say, I always ask this, what would you say is the best thing that came from going through breast cancer?
Oh, the best thing. I can't even answer that. The best thing. Well, the best thing is I found you.
Oh man, I didn't even pay you to say that. It sounds like it was a setup, but it wasn't. You're so
I found,
sweet. No,
you know, Aquarius and Janine, they were going through this basically at the same time the three of us were.
Yeah.
And now Aquarius had been in all this at least a year ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, the camaraderie, the to be able to look at each other and go, you know, this really does suck.
Yeah.
But it's been wonderful to be a part of Breast Cancer Can Stick It, and whatever part I can play, and that's been really a good thing for me.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, obviously I feel the same way too. I mean, I've met so many wonderful people just because I went through breast cancer. Not that it wasn't a big deal, but it was a long time ago. But being able to meet so many people from going through that journey is really cool. And the people that you meet are just amazing, hopeful people that have a whole different perspective on life that they didn't have before. And we all kind of have understanding that other people can't really experience until they go through something like that, you know?
Right.
So,
well, it's not a club that I ever dreamed I'd be a part of.
Right.
But here we are.
Yes.
And we're going to make the best of it.
Yep. Well, Tamara, girl, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. Thank you for being a part of the Women in Music Committee and the band of survivors, man. We got to do us another gig here soon, right?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Our one song gig, man. I need more now.
Thank you, Melissa Etheridge.
Right on. Thanks again, girl. It was a pleasure talking to you. Take care and have a great night, okay?
You too. Thank you,
All
April.
Right, see you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, give it up for Tamara King, man. She's amazing. If you haven't followed her, be sure to follow her out there on the social media. She's a very active musician out in the music scene. Be sure to check her out. And again, if you were at Drumathon, then you saw her singing and using her amazing pipes out there on stage, and just such a good time. All right, we're going to play a little something for you guys. Trying to see what we want to play. You know what? I'm going to give a shout out to our volunteers tonight. A big thank you to them. So let's check this out.
Hi, my name is Athena Johono.
Hi, I'm Bill Fenton.
My name is Chip Heller.
My name is Christy Joe.
Hi, I'm Christy Johnson.
My name is Laura Sansoni.
Hi, my name is Mandy Fenton.
Hello, my name is Milan Davis.
My name is Patrick Stone.
I'm Ruth Fox.
candlestick. I realize it's the flame that makes her cry. She gains as lifeless as the shadows change her mind. Nothing stays the same but the fire remains. Heated by her lullaby, she quietly says goodnight. Talking to herself will surely keep her safe. That she won't move, that she won't ever change her fate. Nothing stays the same but the fire remains. And the fire remains. And the fire remains. And the fire remains. And the fire remains. Oh no, no. Heated by her lullaby, she quietly says goodnight. Talking to herself will surely keep her safe. She won't move, she won't ever change a thing. Nothing stays the same, but the fire remains. And the fire remains. And the fire remains. And the
Well, I just thought I would play that for you. We were talking just now a little bit about, hair loss and, the changes you go through when you go through chemo and through breast cancer and everything. And it got me thinking about those years in the early years of going through, I guess, just recovering from breast cancer and my hair growing out and everything changing. And as you guys saw, I had a double mastectomy without reconstruction. And so the scars have really faded quite a bit. I do wear prosthetics. If you're watching, you're not familiar with that, I do wear prosthetics. Again, I want to give you guys a big shout out for being here tonight. Shout out to Janine, who's in the house. She's our survivor sister who's here. And also to Joe, who was in the house watching Tamara's interview there. Kristen, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for your comments in the chat. Thanks for watching the show this evening. Really love the opportunity to get to know my survivor sisters out there. So very cool. All right. We're going to have our next guest here in just a minute. I'm going to play one more thing for you guys. Then we're going to have Troy Lucchetta here on the flip side. Let's watch a little thing about what you can do if you shop at Kroger. Do this, all right? Check it out. There's this killer new way to help raise funds for breast cancer can stick it by shopping at Kroger. Simply sign into your Kroger account online, then go into Community Rewards on the left-hand side. From there, search for Breast Cancer Can Stick It, then select Enroll. That's right, you shop, Kroger donates. Enroll with Breast Cancer Can Stick It today. Welcome back, everybody. I've got our next guest of the evening here. Mr. Troy Lucchetta is in the house. How are you doing today, Troy?
I'm doing fantastic, April. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. Thank you so much. It's been so long since we've had a chance to chat, so I've been really excited to do this with you, and I'm glad you were able to make time.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I'm glad that we finally get a chance to reconnect. I probably have a lot of questions for you. Maybe I should be interviewing you.
if you want to, man, do your thing. Well, I thought we would start out by talking about how we first met because it was so special to me. Back in 2013, we had just really started doing stuff for Breast Cancer Can Stick It. It was only a couple of years after I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and we were doing a big show with Metal Shop, my band, down in Corpus Christi, and it was the first time I ever decided to try to have celebrity drummers involved in one of our events. And Dan Schinder told me about you and introduced us, told me that you were a great philanthropist and you had done a lot of things for cancer and different things through a Song for Wellness, and introduced us. And I told you my story, and you just were like, yeah, I'm in. And you came to town back in 2013, and that was the same year that we actually became an official 501c3. Can you believe that? So it's been 12 years.
The timing on all of this 12 years later is like, no, I can't. I cannot believe
I know.
that's ridiculous.
I
mean,
know.
it just seems like it was yesterday.
I know.
Yeah, and
And
it was such a special evening,
yeah. And Jimmy Deanda came down with you, and Drum Talk TV did like a documentary from it and released that. It was so cool. Interviewed you backstage, and it was a special evening. We got you up to play a few songs, did some autographs for folks that were there, and it really, Troy, that really started off something special for Breast Cancer Can Stick It, and us having celebrity drummers involved in multiple events, just starting at that moment. And you did the first 2 years. You did 2013, 2014 down in Corpus Christi, and then in 2015 we started holding our drumathon event. But I just thought I would ask you, so if you can remember back then, just how you were feeling about cancer and everything, and kind of what kind of encouraged you to be a part of Breast Cancer Can Stick It back in those days.
Well, it's the same feelings I have today. I mean, it's such a hard diagnosis for people, and so many people are coming down with cancer. And I had a friend of mine who had ocular melanoma. His name was Chevy, and I did a little fundraiser for him in a moose lodge with his family. And you know, I guess I've always had the right heart for these types of events, and anything I can ever do to help out in any way, whether it's putting an event together or showing up, or just, simply making a donation, whatever that might be. Yeah, I'm always in on all of it. And it's with your situation and watching you go through what you've been through, it's been amazing, because you are the ultimate optimist. And I love that because you have to
Thank you.
you have to have that kind of positivity because it could take you down, just the energy in the word, you know. I mean, that's huge. So the people that I have met that are super optimistic in their treatments, they've done well. And not everybody makes it. And my friend Chevy didn't make it, you know. But yeah, I'm happy that we're here again. It's been too long, and I'm sorry that scheduling hasn't worked out and allowed me to come back. But there's going to be more.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Well, I'm so sorry to hear about your friend. And I mean, that is just one of the reasons we keep going with this is because we are still losing people to cancer.
mm,
I've lost multiple friends to breast cancer, and it really just motivates me to work even harder. But you've had this kind of heart for giving for a very long time. One of the biggest fundraisers you ever did was for the station, the victims of the station. Was that back in like 2008 time frame or
well,
so?
that particular one was. I did one in 2005, which was the 2-year anniversary. It happened February 20th, 03 is when the fire happened. The first year went by and there was not, I guess, a lot done and in recognition to what they were going through. And the second year coming around prior, we played, we were out there in Providence and we had met through some of the VIPs, some of the survivors, learned more about the story and what had taken place. Our singer Jeff had played that club. And so there was a packet of information sitting on a bus, and I just went through it. And I was just going to simply make a donation at the time, And my thought was, oh, I'll get 20 guitars, $100 a piece, $2,000, make a donation, get them signed, and kind of send them to them and see, or whatever they could do with the guitars. And when I called them, and I learned more about their organization, which was just about 5 or 6 people involved that were survivors, and 100% of everything went towards the families and trying to keep the insurances from lapsing so they could keep their insurance in place. And I remember Carmine a piece, God bless him. I know he was pretty active, and there were people doing some smaller things. And I had this idea, and we put an event. So I called them back. I said, "Hey, Tesla's going to come. We're going to do a concert, for you guys." I says, "But no heroes. No, we're not going to do interviews or anything like that. We're just going to slide in." And we got the PPAC Center, and I talked to Todd King, who had recently passed, unfortunately, and him and I went right to work on it. And what you learn is people want to help. Everybody wants to help out, and it was the PPAC Center, 3,300 seats. We slid in. Carmine, he had his thing called Stop. He opened up with, and then Pat Travers um, was second on the bill. No, I'm sorry. He did Pat Travers Stop. He did later with us, but it was just us and I think Shinedown. I had Shinedown on that, and it was great. We raised about 100 grand that night, and then we went in '08 into the arena, into the Providence Dunkin' Donuts Center, and I met with them through Donovan, who had been in one of the survivors. His story was 3 months in a coma, 6 months of surgeries, and in the hospital.
Gosh.
And yeah,
Yeah.
really, really heavy. And so I was passing through town, and he's like, "Hey, man, I know you wanted to do something at the arena. I set a meeting up for you and Deborah Pacelli at noon tomorrow," because we were passing through town. I said, and me being the God guy that I am in my faith, I looked up. I said, "It's done. I already knew it. It was just a matter of walking through what we needed to do at that time." So I went down, took the meeting, and short story is, I got a date. The gal, Deborah Pacelli, her brother was marrying a woman that next week who lost her husband in the fire. So when she sent me, you know, I said, "I don't know what it takes to do an event like this, but I plan on reaching out to a lot of people." And I told her my story. And that following week, she sent me an email, and on the top was rent for the building for the 15,000 seat arena for free, zero, nothing.
Wow. That's
And
so amazing. Wow.
gave me the building. She said, I go, "What now?" And she goes, "Just give me $2,000 for a $2 million liability policy, and
Right.
you can have your concert." Now,
Wow.
I'm gonna drag. I don't know how this will work. I'm gonna show you something. Do you mind taking a
Yeah,
little
we'll go on the road with Troy here, right
go
in
on a
right in
little
his
walk with me?
studio.
Uh, in my hallway. Um, I'm gonna turn on some lights here. Uh, and this is Donovan right here, and Gina. And now if I take this water, you can see presented to Wake Up to Love Foundation. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Phoenix Rising was the concert. And this were all the artists. This we had my first call. I don't know if you want me to take it this far, but anyway, all the artists that played, we had Dee Snider was my host. John Rich brought up he brought a private jet, and he brought Dierks Bentley and Gretchen Wilson. And then we had Stryper, we had Tom Scholes with Boston, who was playing with them, Tesla, Aaron Lewis, there was Eric Martin, and turned out to be a really successful event. We raised $1 million. That's a short story.
Dang. No,
Short
that's
long
it's
story.
so amazing though. I mean,
Yeah.
I think everybody felt really touched by what happened. I mean, and for those watching, if you're not familiar, so the station was a venue in Providence, Rhode Island, that caught fire during a Great White concert, and it was a really really bad situation. I think we were all glued to media after that happened. It was just such an unbelievable incident,
Yeah.
and you just felt called to help people like you do, and made such a huge difference in lives, doing that. And like you said, it's just like you just felt it and you just kind of went with it. And good people just seem to come out of the woodwork when you have a scenario like that, and like you said, people want to help. It's so cool.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer. I already knew it was a success before we even did anything, you know. And what I learned, turn my phone off there, um, was it was pretty easy. It was logistics, working out all the logistics. It was a lot of work. It was about 6 months of me slamming it every 24/7 and emails, 1,000 emails, and back before I really had the whole social media thing going on the phones the way we work today. But yeah, it came together real nice, and I knew it was going to work out. And then VH1 picked it up and they aired. That's where we really got a lot of support. They aired it. We gave them exclusive for I think 3 or 6 months, and then we raised a lot of money through them as well.
Wow, it's so amazing. It's cool to hear all that. It's such an inspiration to me personally, because that's what we do here day in and day out is try to raise funds to make a difference. And so it's just so cool that you jumped in there. When you were talking, you mentioned Eric Martin, and I was like, I think a lot of people don't realize that you and Eric Martin were in a band together before there was ever a Tesla, there ever a Mr. Big or anything. Can you tell us about that group, the Eric Martin band?
The crazy thing is, we have a new record coming out. The Eric Martin
What?
Band.
Really?
Now, check this out.
That's awesome.
I was on Zoom with Eric
Uh-huh.
last week in the Eric Martin Band. We're going to Japan in June.
Are you serious? That is so awesome, Troy.
It's because 42 years later, after the first album, we had recorded some demos that we never did a second record. And so this guy, Jake Dowd with Metallic Blue Records, he's putting it out, the record. They just sent all the stuff to me. I've been listening to it. It's pretty good, I mean, it's 42 years later. It was from 1983.
Wow.
And we went out and we opened on the Frontiers tour. We had 5 sold out nights with Journey.
That's so
opening up
crazy.
Journey.
And at their hottest time too. Journey was
Well,
huge right then.
It was beautiful. Yeah, we did 5 nights in the Blaisdell Center in Honolulu.
Holy
Eric
cow.
Martin Band was managed by Herbie Herbert, who managed Journey. And so because they were filming every night, they filmed us every night. And believe it or not, they're putting the whole concert out.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool, man.
It's going to come out in Japan, and that's prompted a tour. And we just did some press for them last week and said some stuff. Avalon Records, I think, is putting it out. So
Wow.
yeah, and we had a Zoom. I hadn't talked to Eric for a long time, and he was awesome. I mean, he's such a freaking sweetheart. And the band, it's John Nyman, our guitar player. He's in Y&T. So the three of us, kind of went off and had some successes. And Tom Duke, the bass player, who's um, doing well, and he's in Colorado, and he's available. And Mark Ross, our guitar player, unfortunately, he had died. But yeah, so we're gonna go out and do a little run.
That's
Yeah.
so awesome to hear you talk about that. I'm sure people watching right now, that'll be big news to them. So hopefully you guys will do something in the States at some point.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they had mentioned a few things, and there might be a few things that make sense, and supply and demand. You know, does anybody care? I don't know, but we're gonna go have some fun. I think it could be cool, so we'll see how it goes.
Oh, I bet that'll be amazing. Seriously cool. So how did you and Eric first meet?
Well, I was in a band called Benny and the Jets before the Eric Martin band, and there's a song called Lipstick and Leather that Y&T plays that Benny and the Jets, that's out. You can look that up. Benny and the Jets, Lipstick and Leather, you'll find the video. And anyway, I was in that band and we were playing locally, and Herbie, when he took over management for the Eric Martin band, I was watching what was happening locally. They opened the day on the green. They had a lot of stuff started to take place, and they had approached me earlier, and I actually quit Benny and the Jets for one day, and I joined them on the phone. Said, "Yeah, sure." And then Benny called me back and talked me into staying. So but I stayed, and I was like, "Sorry, guys, I can't do it." But then as they got moving, I was like, "Damn, I don't know if I did the right thing." And
Right.
and it came up again, and I knew they were making a record, and so I went after it. They had me audition. There was one guy from the Steve Miller Band, I forget his name, that auditioned before me. I'm sure he was fantastic, and but I was the second guy to come in, and then they already knew what they want. Eric, I don't know where Eric was at that time because he wasn't even at the audition. Matter of fact, I auditioned, got played that night. I learned it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 25 songs, two sets we would do at the Lonesome Cowboy in Modesto on Friday and Saturday night. And I met Eric at the gig, did the gig. It was great. And then it just kind of went from there.
Wow, that's awesome. That's such a cool piece of history that I know a lot of people don't realize. That's very cool, and I had no idea about the Y&T connection either.
Yeah, yeah, John, and he's been there with Y&T for a long time, and that's a whole story in of itself. That I was a big Y&T fan and young and following them around, when they were Yesterday and Today before they put out their first record. And but I mean, the Eric Martin Band did put some cool stuff. We went out and did some dates. We went on ZZ Top tour, eliminated some dates with that, and then American Bandstand. It was cool because I was like 23 years old and kind of got a taste of it.
No doubt. That's awesome. So then at some point, not too long after that, I guess, is when you started to hook up with Tesla, the guys in Tesla, right? They were called City Kid, I think, at the time.
Yeah, they were City Kid, and Brian, I think, I forgot, it was Brian's sister, my first wife of 20 years, Linda Luccketta. She cut Brian's, our bass player's, sister's hair, and somehow they connected, made the connection. Brian called me, or I called Tim, or oh, I know what it was. No, 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 I'm sorry, excuse me. Dwayne Hitchings had called me. He was over Eddie Money's house. That connection with my his sister and my ex, I heard about that story because she was like, I know about this band. So Dwayne Hitchings calls me from Eddie Money's in Oakland. I lived in San Leandro, 20 minutes down the road. And he's like, hey man, I want to come play you this demo, this band I'm producing, City Kid. He come over, he had an 8-track drum machine recording. Restless Hearts was one song, and Rock City, I think, was the other song. And I listened to it and I was like really intrigued with Jeff's voice. I thought he had a really unique voice. And I was listening to Jeff and I thought, this is interesting. I think I want to check this out. He's like, well, he says, just so we were out doing some stuff with Eddie Money, Eric Martin Band. And he's go, well, and Gary Ferguson was a drummer who became a friend of mine. So he's like, well, Eddie mentioned, if you're not interested in that, he's interested in you. And so that was kind of a game changer for me because I was only, I was still what, 24, 5 years old. And I was like, man, I don't really want to be I want to be in a band. I don't know that I want to take a chance on just being a hired gun, you know.
Right, like you would
Knew
be
I
considered in the
knew
Eric Martin band.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, and I thought after the Eric Martin band, I thought, man, I think I want to check out this City Kid thing, and so I went and checked them out, and right when I watched the band, and right when Jeff caught my attention, he held me all night, and I knew right then, I knew it was going to do exactly what we did. There was no doubt in my mind.
His voice was a game changer for many bands back then. I know that my bands emulated Tesla back then, and Jeff Keith's sound was so distinct. And we had a lot of different singers, and when we found one that sounded like Jeff Keith, we were like, okay, we're keeping this one.
That's awesome. What a great
Yeah,
story.
yeah, but it's true. I mean, it was just it's so unique, and there's so much passion and like blues and just a lot of feeling behind his voice. And that whole thing just changed the trajectory of your life, really, because you spent 36 years with Tesla, right?
And I spent 36 years, and Jeff is such an interesting person, and you've met Jeff, and he's totally a unique individual, I believe, the way he does what he does. And I mean, he never really had any bands. He had a band with his brother, but I mean, he Tesla's like his real first band.
Isn't that crazy to think? My
Yeah,
gosh.
no vocal lessons,
Yeah.
just passion, perfect pitch. The guy's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Seriously, I mean, he the more time I had spent with Jeff, and he would warm up the mic when we were doing the first album. I'll never forget We Are the World was out. And he was warming up the mic, and he go, We are the world, and he starts singing, and he'd do all the characters, all of
Oh
them.
my gosh. Wow.
Opera, and he would go through this thing, and it was awesome and hilarious and funny, and he was having fun.
Yeah.
He does a great Mick Jagger. He gets his little body going and does his thing. But Jeff, yeah, I'm really pleased that I was able to become a part of that for sure.
Do you have some like of your favorite moments that you could share with us with Tesla? Like maybe early days or
Um, well, quite honestly, um, I think it was all a great ride, all of it. I mean, it was all very special, even when we broke up in 96 and we got back together in 2000. And we were only going to do one show, and then it's 20 years later, and I'm on the bus driving. I remember driving through Canada thinking, "Huh, I thought I was only going to do one show, and now it's like another 15, 20 years go by, and you're like, where does the time go?"
no
You
doubt,
know?
yeah. But it's so cool to have everybody stay together for so long and still have that chemistry that you guys had. It was just amazing. I saw you guys multiple times in the last 15 years or so, and it was all still there.
Yeah, and I would think something that would be a standout. We did 2 nights at Red Rocks when we were headlining arenas in '91. And I don't know if that was in '95. What year was that we did that? I remember, I think it must have been somewhere around '91 because that's when we were actually on our headlining arena tour. And that was pretty special, as far as a nice moment, like, wow,
Yeah.
2 nights, not one, but 2 nights. And I was like,
Wow.
awesome, you
Yeah,
know.
that's such a cool venue too. I've been out there before, and people who haven't been out there, it's out there near Denver. I don't think it's in Denver, but it's close to Denver, and it's just
Mhm.
such a beautiful setting. Wow, 2 nights. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I remember that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a lot.
So, how long now, Troy, has it been since you left Tesla?
Well, it was pretty much, I mean, it was right after we all got sick on COVID. Our last show together was, I think, August 7th. I mean, August 5th and 6th, we were in Washington. The whole band well, eight of us got sick, came home. And then I said goodbye, hugged everybody on the bus on the 7th because we turned around, came home and canceled what we had going on. and that was pretty much it. And at that point, yeah, I guess it was just time for a change, you know?
Yeah, and COVID did a lot of things. I think it gave us all different perspective on life and different things. I mean, there was just a lot of things going on, and I mean, the world did seriously change after that moment in time. I mean, especially as a musician, having to cancel your tours and people really being shut down. And I know for us, like, our gigs never got back to where they were again. We're played about half as much as we were before COVID, and it causes a major change for you. So I'm sure you took some time to kind of reflect and see what all you wanted to do with your life. And I know you're doing a lot of it now, which is what I really want to hear about, things that you've done with your son and all the latest ventures. So tell,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it did change everything. I was just talking to a guy named Jeremy Asbrook. I don't know if you know who that is. He's been out there with Gene Simmons and Ace Frehley, and great player. And anyway, I don't know if you know, there was something posted recently. I'm going to go out with John Corabi in the UK. We're
Oh, that's
doing
excellent.
Yeah, we're doing that in February, and it's a great band, good bunch of guys, and I'm really excited about that. And so that's coming up. I got the Japan tour, and I put all my time and energy into Rizz and the Believers, and for people that are not familiar with that, Rizz is 32. He's out of Reno, Nevada, and I brought him here 3.5+ years ago, and because it started with actually right before COVID. My son was producing Rizz, and I went out to spend time with my son when he had a surgery, and spent and I was there for like 3 weeks. And he's like, "Dad, would you help me out and put some drums on this stuff?" And I became a fan of Rizz, and by the time I left there, I felt he was a superstar waiting to happen, And so I brought him out here 3.5 years ago, and we went right to work, and we built this brand. Great musicians, great band. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that at all.
Yeah,
But
you sent me some videos. I watched a few things. It's very unique stuff and super
yeah,
cool. Yeah,
yeah,
it
really,
was a joy watching you and your son play together in those
yeah,
videos.
yeah. So that's what I've been putting my time and energies into, because I'm a real believer in what it is. And rizandthebelievers.com, you can go. There's a lot of stuff up there, and we're just about. I think it's getting ready to happen, and get ready to move. And I think things are getting ready to take shape. I've done all the back end, like we started a corporation. Him and I started a partnership, Blessings and Love Incorporated,
Oh,
and
I love that.
we've got 3 trademarks that are registered now, and we've got it all set up to raise funds and do it independently, and really do it in a manner that makes sense, because without funding, you can't get anything done. You got to have
Yeah,
funding.
got to
So
have money to make money, as they
yeah.
say.
And
Yeah,
if you're not like blown up on social media, nobody's really interested anyway.
right. Yeah.
But that's what I'm doing. Yeah. So
That's awesome. And we were talking earlier before we came on about your studios and all the studio work you do. And I didn't realize, I knew that you were building a studio there on property. And I just had no idea of the history that you have, like, in producing and engineering and all that. Like, you did some stuff with Ronnie Montrose and other things. Talk a little bit about that. Like, how did you end up getting so into recording?
well, and let me see. It was Tesla was doing really well, and when Tesla broke up in 96 to 2000. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to go back further than that. I had I had a place in Hayward, California, TML Studios, and I bought this big, huge desk. It was about 9, 10 feet long, and it was very expensive. And I got a building, and soundproofed, and built it out. Spent a lot of money on that. Bought a lot of equipment, and that was, I remember they dropped off the console. I think it was New Year's Day '91. And I went right to work on engineering and producing and learning, but I wasn't an engineer. So once you start, when you have a studio over time, you learn how to work the gear, slowly. I was slowly learning it, but I always had an engineer, and I started just doing demos and records for people, and then I opened the facility up to outside artists, like 3D. I had Third Eye Blind in there. I had Testament in there. I had Greg Kinn in there. I had Jane Childs, not Jane Childs. Oh my God, Four Non Blondes. Linda Perry, who
Wow.
was producing Pink at the time. She was with, that's when that whole thing got started. A guy named
Wow.
Michael Rosen was bringing some of those acts in, and some of them came in. And I produced a band called Ted 302. And I produced my cousin Scott Van Zent's record. And Eric Westphal. And I just started working. And I did that for a few years. And then I moved the studio. That's when I got with Ronnie Montrose. Ronnie called me and asked me to work with him on Gamma 4, which I engineered with, and Denny Carmassi was playing drums, and I was a huge Denny fan. So I got to do that. And I had Tower of Power come through there. I did a couple more records, some Japanese artists. Loudness, I did 3 records
Oh
with
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 records with Loudness in my place.
Wow.
So things were just, I the studio business, I'm not gonna, it was more about, for me, it wasn't so much about the money. It was more about, because I didn't really make it's tough running a business, and when you look at all you spend to do what you do. But for me, it was about the education of what I was learning and what I was doing. It was selfishly motivated.
Yeah, but that is a cool thing. I mean, even stuff that I've just done, on Pro Tools or whatever, it's cool to learn, things about frequencies and different effects that you might need to utilize and things like that. And it sort of makes you look at it differently when you're recording yourself too.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
it's
we're in
definitely.
my what is my kind of my control room. I don't know if you can kind of
Yeah.
get a vibe on it.
Oh yeah.
Um, and if you look out the window right here, I got my drums.
Excellent. Let's
Let me
see.
see if you can. I'm holding my computer up, so how's that? Can you see anything?
Oh yeah, there you are, right there. Yep. That's
Um,
awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's a live room, and I can go ahead and record full band here,
Uh-huh.
and which I do. And yeah, but I'm not like trying to be in business, running a studio. I just do the projects and the things that I want to do, you know,
Yeah.
for
Totally. And
myself.
and it,
Yeah.
I was looking into it, like I said, and it said at one point, did you have 4 different studios, or have you
I
had
have.
4? Okay. And where are they? Do you still have each of those studios in the
No, I
various
had
places?
two commercial in California, and then I ended up in Scottsdale. And I had a studio out there for a while. And right now I'm in Nashville. So um what else did I I think that's it.
That's really cool, though. I'm
Yeah.
jealous, man. I can't wait to see it when I'm in town next year. I'm
Yeah,
really looking forward to that.
it's the whole I got 2,000 square feet of the house, of the 4,000, 2,000 living and 2,000 studio. I got a theater in here, and
It's the
you know
best.
it's just, I mean, I'm blessed. I got a beautiful 5 acre piece of property, and I mean, I got my pad right here, and you know I'm on this thing like all the time. And I sit here and I'll shuffle, like, because I wasn't a big shuffle guy, so a double bass stuff. But now that I'm doing the Karabi stuff, I'm listening to some of the drummers. Dean Castronova was one of them, with
Yeah.
when he was with um shoot, Dead Daisies.
Yep.
But now, so if I want to sit here and shuffle, right?
Yeah. You're just like, whatever. You got your thing going, and you're able to
I
jam all
just come in,
day.
I spend my time, I learn the music. I've got a set list right here of 20 like songs that I'm working on that John sent over. And I'm really excited about learning some new music. I just played last week with Peter Keys. He's our keyboard player. in the Believerz, and he plays with Leonard Skinner for the last 16 years. And I go out with him and Dr. John and all this old music that he does. And I did, that last week, and there was another 20 songs. So I'm keeping up and learning some music, and try to keep my chops up a little bit. Still recording for people here. So I can keep pretty busy.
No, that's so cool, and you are super blessed. It's such a great way to live your life, getting to do all the things that you love and experience all the things you want to experience. And it's just you're just real encouraging, a real inspiration, Troy. I think to a lot of us out there. So I just realized the time. I was like, I got to be careful because I know I'll keep chatting to Troy if I'm not careful. I went through most of the stuff I wanted to get with you, but we're gonna have to catch up separately to do everything else. Okay.
That sounds just fine. Thank you for having me on your show.
Man, thank you so much, Troy. And the best way for people to follow you is on the social medias. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, and I don't do a whole lot out there, but there's no website up. I had one at one time, but there is just on this Facebook and such.
Gotcha. Well, it's so good to see you, man. I miss you so much, and I look forward to seeing you next year, okay?
Awesome. I look forward to seeing you too.
Take care, Troy.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, give it up for Troy, man.
What if you could change a life for the cost of your daily coffee? By giving up just one coffee a month, you could provide hope and support to breast cancer survivors. Your $5 monthly donation helps fund treatment, research, trials, and mammograms. Sign up now at breastcancercanstickit.org.
Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. I want to give a big shout out of thanks to Tamara, Survivor Tamara, who was on earlier this evening, and to Troy Lucchetta, formerly of Tesla, for being on the show tonight. What an amazing show. So cool to chat with both of those folks and just so grateful to have them. I'm going to spin that Drumathon recap one more time. Again, this is a preliminary unreleased video. We're still finalizing it, but I was just too excited about it not to share it with you guys because it was such an amazing event. Speaking of Drumathon 2025, I am wearing my Drumathon 2025 shirt. I'm going to stand up so you can see it. All right, so I'm wearing my Drumathon 2025 shirt. It is available for sale at breastcancercanstickit.org. Just go to our store there and you can buy it online. So if you missed getting your Drumathon 2025 shirt this year, you can get it online at breastcancercanstickit.org and just hit that store link in the top. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. Janine, everybody who was here. So cool to see everybody watching online tonight and for our guests to be here. We'll be back again next month, the third Tuesday of every month. I want to wish you guys a very happy Thanksgiving. Remember to be grateful and thankful. Spend that time with your family and just allow your friends and family to love on you and have a great holiday season. I'm going to spin this Drumathon recap one more time and you guys have a great night. Take care.